What's up everyone, Foxxy here. In this flea market video, I wanted to recap some of my favorite finds from the past couple of years since I started going to these flea markets. The main reason I am making this video is because I get new subs every single day, which I have reason to believe is because of these flea market videos primarily, and those new viewers may or may not have seen some or even most of my other flea market videos. So, like I said, this is kind of recapping everything so far. Plus, you don't have to watch some of my earlier videos which were nothing but a cringe fest. Either way, I may do a separate video on the worst things I've bought at the flea markets as well. Who knows, only time will tell with that. Anyway, one of my favorite finds of all time was when I ended up finding an official original DuckTales game for the NES, and it was in really good condition. Well, there's more to it than that. So, one of the sellers had a ton of NES games on the table. Each were priced around $2 to $3 a piece. I should have asked what he wanted for everything, but my brain completely stopped working when I saw the DuckTales cart. I ended up just grabbing a few games that I really wanted, like the 2 Zelda games, Mario 2 and 3, and DuckTales 1 and 2. I only paid $12 for everything. That's not all though. I walked by his table again later on and noticed he brought out a few stacks of Super Nintendo games. When I was looking through them, he threw out an offer that only an idiot would have refused. $10. $10 for 20 Super Nintendo games. How could I have said no? Another favorite of mine was the box of Sega and PlayStation stuff. I'm not exactly sure if the sellers really knew what they had, because they thought that some of the PlayStation stuff that was in the box was for the Sega Genesis, which of course it wasn't, but they had told me to just pull out everything I was interested in out of that box and we would come up with a price later on. After grabbing a bunch of stuff, they offered everything to me for $20. Again, this was another one of those offers that I don't understand why someone could ever say no to. Even if I had everything already, for the price I paid, I could easily sell all this stuff for a very good profit. The stuff that was included in the box was this weird PlayStation glove controller thing. I have yet to use it, mostly because what the fuck game do you even play with it? There was also an arcade stick, a light gun for the Sega Genesis, I think it was called the Menacer, as well as several other controllers, some of which I had no idea were so expensive. Oh, and I also picked up a Model 2 Genesis from them as well. Again, all of this was $20. This next one does not feature a video game at all, but I was extremely happy to come across it. This is actually a tool bag that attaches to the front of your motorcycle, as you can see here. I wanted one of these so bad for my 88 VMAX because the tank bag that I use doesn't have enough storage space, so I was wanting one of these to be able to store my lock and other small minor things. This tool bag here is made by a very reputable company, Saddleman, and it was basically in brand new condition. I couldn't believe he only wanted $10 for it, and thankfully, this fit my bike perfectly, and I couldn't be happier. If I had a top 3 list of favorite finds from the flea market, this next one would easily be up there. This one comes from episode 12, which came out roughly 3 years ago. Let me be out front with this. Yes, my hair fucking sucked back then. Believe me, I know, I get it. That is why it no longer looks like that. Anyway, in this episode I came across 2 separate sellers, one of which I ended up buying a stack of GameCube games for only $1 a piece. The other seller, who if I remember correctly, they are like the ones who buy storage containers and just sell what's inside them. You know, like the old show Storage Wars. So I ended up snagging 2 specific games that I was actively hunting for. Those 2 being Luigi's Mansion and Smash Bros. Melee. I ended up buying between the 2 sellers over 15 games for a total of only $32, which considering the games that were included in both the bundles is flat out insane. From the same sellers, I picked up some other titles that I absolutely love. Sonic Adventure 2, Bomberman Jetters, Dark Cloud, and the Sonic Mega Collection. Another one of my favorite finds comes from 2016, back when I first started filming these. I ended up coming across one of my favorite racing games of all time, Test Drive Eve of Destruction. The seller wanted $10 for it, and even then that was a good deal since the game is easily worth triple that. However, after a little bit of talking, he ended up lowering it to $6. There was no way I was going to pass up on a deal like that, especially since it was in such good condition. Without a doubt, my favorite find of all time is actually on the last flea market video my dad appeared in before he unfortunately passed away, number 41. Towards the end of the day, walking around at these flea markets, we ended up spotting a Yamaha motorcycle jacket that was just randomly sitting on a toolbox. Some of you may know that I am a massive Yamaha motorcycle fan. I have been even before I started riding motorcycles. I don't know what it is, there's just something about Yamaha motorcycles that I absolutely love. And at the time, I was just starting out on my first motorcycle, which was a 1985 Yamaha Virago. I didn't have any more money left on me, or at least not nearly enough to pay for the jacket. However, my parents still encouraged me to at least try it on just to see if it fit me. Well, it turns out that it did, and it fit perfectly, and I loved the way it looked. What ended up happening is that my dad decided to purchase the jacket for me as a gift. I didn't really research the jacket. I have no idea how old it is or even how valuable it is. I didn't care at the time, and even now, I still don't. It's one of the greatest gifts I have ever received, and I will never get rid of it. This last one that I wanted to feature in this video is actually very recent. It's from episode 43. I saw this one seller with a couple games on the table. When he noticed me, he told me that there were more Sega Genesis games in a bin, so I thought, okay, cool, let's check it out. At first, I was pretty discouraged since in the same bin were loads of 8-track tapes, but after a few seconds of rifling through the bin, I ended up coming across some pretty great stuff. Super Hang-On, Power Rangers, a Game Genie, and of course, the one game that made me super excited, Mutant League Hockey. I mean, I kinda knew Mutant League Hockey was a game a lot of Sega Genesis collectors cared about, but at the time, I guess I didn't realize how sought after and hard to find it really was. The seller was really cool. He just wanted to get rid of anything and everything he had, and after some talking, he ended up selling me all the games for just $15. Mutant League Hockey is worth $50 alone, so that made me extremely happy. So that's gonna do it for today's video, everyone. Those were some of my favorite finds thus far, at least if we're talking about the flea markets. Obviously, if you have watched my content before, you'd know I also pick up stuff from thrift stores, primarily Goodwill and Salvation Army, but I have no plans to make a video on my favorite thrift store finds, at least until I hit 20 episodes of that series. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and take care.